Let's get ready to story!
Okay, one time, the first time I ever saw the Mediterranean Sea, which is not something everybody gets to do, and I was very aware of this. I was backpacking through Europe, and I came to Malaga, home of Pablo Picasso, and I wanted to go see, his museum and things and do this. And I'm like, what? Let's just go down to the sea. The first thing I saw was a shipping yard, which is just like somebody's like, oh, here's a toilet, and they just shove it in front of you. Awful, awful place. So you see that, well, I'm going to see the beach. This is the real Mediterranean. Get down there, and I unpacked I was backpacking, so I had like a 30-pound backpack, and I open up the top, I'm like, a banana, peanut butter. My God, I'm so American. Oh God, but I'm a tourist. I'm learning. I'm doing this thing. So I have my banana, my peanut butter. I'm just like, this is the life. And this woman next to me is like, oh, in Spanish, she starts talking to me. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, no hablo español. Now, I did take a Spanish class before that, but I was not fluent enough to just be like, so I'm just like, oh, sorry, no hablo español. And that's how they talk. And she's like, oh, I know English. I'm like, oh, that's great. She goes, oh, did you just get here? I'm like, yes, I did. And she starts talking to me, and little by little, she's inviting me to a club later on in Malaga. This is like 2 in the afternoon. I came from a shitty time in Paris. So I was like, Malaga, Madrid, oh my God, Mediterranean, Spain, this is great. So now I'm on the Mediterranean outside Malaga. I'm like, this is fantastic. We have some friends at a theater and you might like them. You say you're an actor and this is fantastic. I'm like, yeah. I don't know if you've ever had a feeling before where you get a bad feeling, but I got a bad feeling. And I said, yeah. And she told me, times and dates and places. And I said, sure. And I had no intention ever. And I just didn't want to get away from her. I wanted to get away from Malaga. All of a sudden, this was Mordor. I'm like, this place is rotten. I don't want to be here. I don't know where my parents are. And so I started walking. I went to the bus station. I'm like, I'm going to get a bus out of Malaga. I went to the bus. I'm like, this will take me to the next town. Because I'm picturing in my head, well, you can get a bus probably from Scranton to Wilkes-Barre. I've never ridden a bus from Scranton to Wilkes-Barre, but I'm sure you could do it. Marts. That's the theme tonight, Marts. I take the bus. It goes up a hill. It goes around a hill. I'm on it for 40 minutes. It goes right back to the bus station. Steer right. So that gets me nowhere. I'm like, oh God, okay, I just don't like being here. Pablo Picasso, he went to Paris. I know why he got out, 'cause this place, I don't like it. So I started walking. I had a 30-pound backpack, but I'm like, I'll walk. I'll go to a hotel. Now at this time, I was new into my backpacking. I'm like, I have a budget of, let's say, $12 for a hostel. I'm like, I will do $12, which whatever at the time came out to euros. I'm like, I'll do that. I came to a hotel. Is still in Malaga, and the sun is still in the sky, and it's beautiful, and it's the Mediterranean, it's beautiful. And my bananas are still in the backpack, I never got to eat them. And I say, how much is your room? She goes, oh, it's 30 euros. I'm like, it's out of my price range. I'm sure I can find a hostel just a little further down the coast. And I march. And there's the road goes off that way, but there's the beach. I'm like, I'll just march on the beach. That's a shortcut. And I'm marching on the beach, and it's like weeds. I'm like, wow, this is the ocean. And I'm marching. I get back on the road. I'm like, there are no homes here or people. This is like walking on 380. This is a highway. I'm walking on a highway. I'm like, okay, but I am sure a home or a hotel is going to pop up. I'm like, I will gladly pay, because now the sun, I turn back. Who said it before? Michaela, you said it. You're like, one of the most beautiful hikes you've ever seen? I saw one of the most beautiful sunsets I've ever seen, because it was the Mediterranean, sun going down. Anyway, I'm like, oh God, it's beautiful. But I have a 30-pound backpack, I have nowhere to sleep. So I go along, and I find a beach. I'm like, that's a rowboat. I pick up the rowboat, it's overturned. I'm like, I could sleep under that. Sun's still up, I can make it. I'm like, okay, and I'm walking, screw Malaga. And I get to a gas station, and now it's dark. The sun is down, I could see like the embers of purple and the sky behind me, and I'm like, I need nuts. Protein, right? So I buy some nuts, and it's kind of like a diner. Anyway, it's awkward. There's like 5 guys in there just like. It's a roadside stop. It's every country's got them, and these are the guys from like Mayfield looking at you, just kind of like, what are you doing here? You don't come here every day at 6 o'clock. We're here at 6 o'clock. And so I'm like, I'm just gonna buy some nuts and go away. And I'm walking along, and pretty sure, like I see like some homes off on the hill with like light in them. I'm like, maybe I can knock on their door because I've been walking a long time at this point. I've been walking hours, and I'm like, no, I'll just keep walking. And pretty soon there's no weeds or beach. I'm up on a cliff, and there's clouds coming in from the Mediterranean, and there's lightning bolts coming down, and it's dark, and I have never looked into my soul any more than I have at that point. I'm like, holy Christ, this is the darkest, blackest place I've ever been. There's no street light, there's no candle. I'm like, the only light was lightning. I'm like, this is like Tolkien bullshit. I don't know what I'm looking at now. And I'm making my way around. I'm like, okay, just keep walking. You'll find something. 23 miles later, I found Torre del Mar, the next city down from Malaga. And I get to a gas station, and I use what BS Spanish I have. I'm like, yo, camino, walk, 23 milos. I walked a long time, I don't know, and I'm like, they're like, where? I'm like, Malaga. They're like, whoa. I'm like, right? I'm like, hotel? And they're like, oh, yeah, just go down there. Very nice gentleman. And it was a little city, it was a beach town, it's very Jersey. A lot of teenagers doing teenager things on the sidewalk, and I'm just like, I just want to find a hotel. And I get to the hotel, and it's old, and I'm like, how much is it? They're like, 30 euros. I'm like, oh, that was the price that I could have had back in Malaga. And I'm like, that is fantastic. I will pay 100 euros right now. And there was a bathtub. I'm like, I'm going to take a bath. And I'm washing every part of me because Paris was a bad time. I hadn't showered since Paris. And I was in Madrid. And so I was showering everything. And I got to the hotel room, and there was Spanish pornography from 1977. The finest. And the next day, I'm like, I would like to go to Granada. P.S. One of my favorite cities. Thank you. Favorite cities in the world, Granada. And then I'm like, how do I get back to Granada? Like, well, you have to take a bus from Malaga. And I went back there.